everybody, we're back again. It's still Atlanta Disco. I'm still your host, and some call me moderator. It doesn't matter. I'm your host, I'm moderator, and my name still remains Ade Balogo. We're talking today to the 7 billion people in the 7 continents of the world. Yes, Australia, Antarctica, Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America. Yes, but when Atlanta Discuss, we discuss everything. We bring erudite scholars here. You know, people that are true to power. That's our toga. We just say it the way it is, because here we just go for the facts, you know. And today we have somebody that slays stereotype, that break barriers. He's never on the losing side, even though things might go south sometimes. He always goes for the jugular. Today we have Mr. Honorable Sonny Lambert. Mr. Sonny Lambert, welcome to Atlanta Discuss.
Thank you, brother. I think in the UK we use if you want to, we use councillor rather than honourable, because I know we use honourable. Of course, we are. No, don't worry. Of course, we are all honourable in our own way, but unfortunately, sometimes people don't live up to that expectation, as you know. But let's leave that to us.
Which makes that dishonourable.
Thank you so much, brother. It's good. It's great to be here, and a great privilege. So thank you. Thank you, brother.
Fantastic. So today we're talking about Nigeria and its future, a diasporan perspective. Yes, I know some people blame me. I talk a lot about Nigeria. Last week we spoke about Congo, you know, the failure of Africa, the failure of African leadership, a Congolese perspective. But now, I mean, where Nigeria and its future is a diasporan perspective. It's clearly a councillor. It's been representing Sotok, you know, since 2014. I mean, that's quite a chunk, you know, and he comes with a lot of experience, Nigerian born, but he is a government official in the United Kingdom. So he will have a lot to say, comparison and all that. But you all know at Atlanta Discuss, we embrace all facets of humanity to disseminate positive news in a world filled with bad news. Positive news in this instance is the truth. You know, it doesn't matter what ox is God. We give a voice to the unheard always. We balance the information equation. We search and discuss the facts wherever it leads. We combine the best of the human race to get the best out of mankind. We serve as the bridge between the developing and the developed world. We embrace business, arts, IT, health, history, and faith-based issues. We just don't shy away for the facts. That's why we go for the facts always. And that's why we go for the jugular. Like I said earlier, we have Councillor Sonny Lambert here. He's been councillor for the Sotok district in the UK. And let me introduce him. You know, there's so much about him you have to know, apart from him just being a councillor. He does a lot of things. Sonny is a community leader and business management consultant with over 30 years experience. That's a lot. 30 years is a lot. You know, specializing in SME, that's small, medium scale entrepreneurship, development and support. He has worked on numerous local and regional, national government, self-economic empowerment initiative cutting across public, private, and voluntary, and third sectors over 25 years. That's a lot, man. Sonny, you've been there.
Thank you, bro.
Sonny, like I said earlier on, is a Sotok Labour Party. Did I pronounce that well, Sotok?
Yes, Southwark. Yeah, Southwark. Fee, like fee. You say, yeah. Southwark Council. Yeah. But of course, I'm not representing them here. I'm coming as private individual, a citizen of Nigeria and Yoruba land. So that's why I'm here, not wearing my political hat. Just a disclaimer.
It don't matter. But I mean, you're who you are anyway. Yeah. So he's been there as a Labour Party councillor elected since May 2014. And he's also the author of Unbroken, A Dream for My Sister. Sonny has served in numerous voluntary capacities and has founded many community development and youth empowerment initiatives. You know, so he is very passionate about equality, diversity, fairness, and social justice. Sonny is true to power. He goes for the jugular. It says in the way. Sonny Lambert, welcome to Atlanta Discuss. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you, brother. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So in our tradition, we go for the jugular. Let's go. Now, the first thing I'm just going to ask you is, I mean, you've been a councillor in Sotok since 2014. Tell us what has it been like, your activities, what you've done, what you have achieved, what you are planning, what you hope to achieve in future?
Funny enough, well, thank you for asking that question. Funny enough, it's true that I joined in 2014, but as you probably saw from my, bio you read out, I've been in the community for decades. I never wanted to be in politics, to be honest with you. I mean, most people who are close to me knew that. So I got into politics 2014 by accident. Um, the opportunity came for me to change my career, and I was invited to put myself forward. So I put myself forward, and here I am today. I'm serving my third term. Actually, the person who actually encouraged me to go for it was actually my godmother, late Mrs. Tola Oyediran, Baba Olawa's late daughter, who died, a few 2 years ago. So here I am today, and of course, I've always been passionate about representing people, serving people in every way I could, in my local church, in my community groups, and so on. Set up numerous community initiatives. But the opportunity came for me to extend that role a bit further, in a very elective way, within the political movement. Which had already been a member for many decades. So I put myself forward and I won. Funny enough, the ward which I'm serving now, South Bermondsey, my party had not won there since 1982. Well, I was about 32 years prior to my selection. And I'm serving my third term now, until 2026. So, yes, of course, it's not been easy serving people because you can never do enough. But at the same time, people recognize when you're serving them to the best of your abilities. And it doesn't matter to me whether you are black or white, man or woman, or from my party or opposition, Tory, Conservative Party, Lib Dem. They actually, if you serve them well, you discover that these people from different political parties, those who are not wearing political label, just ordinary citizen, but they vote for another party, they will vote for you because, especially in my ward, they have 3 votes. And you say to them, okay, I know you, I like you, son, even though I don't like Labour, but I like you, and I'm going to give you one of my votes. So I'm going to vote you. So that's why it's always good to make sure you're a hardworking representative of the people and they reward you handsomely as well. So that's why I'm still standing today. Of course, I don't know what the future. I don't know what the future holds. If opportunity opens up for me to serve in different capacities, higher than where I am now, well, I'm not rolling, but I leave everything in the hands of the Lord, and the rest will be easier once you leave everything in the hands of the Lord and let Him take control. Because I'm a Christian as well. I practice Christian, so I always believe that where you are find yourself, maybe it's through the grace of God. And if God says yes, then who can say no?
Interesting. I like that. I mean, the vote counts really, which is what matters. So I like that way the vote counts.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not a very young guy. Your experience, I've seen your trajectory. You've done a lot. I actually like the fact that you're a community person. Are you also into mentorship? For example, do you have younger people you are mentoring for leadership also?
Oh yes, I do. I mean, even was it yesterday? Even somebody just signed up for me to be their mentor. He's not even from our own community. This is from somebody from Asian community, and I have young people, I have mid-age people, because we all have something to share. Sometimes you could be. I mean, okay, I'm a professional in politics. It could be from professional, angle as well. I mean, for many decades, I've mentored so many young people in project development, and so on, because that's my background before I came to politics. Oh yeah, I mentor a lot of people. I've mentored a lot of people, and I still mentor a lot of people at the moment. So yes, because it's about sharing knowledge, expertise, and experience. And if God give you freely, or even you pay for some of them, if you can make somebody else happy and strengthen them and make them, even better than you are, why not do that? So I do that all the time.
Like that. That's interesting because that's one of the problems we have in Africa today. People just sit tight without grooming, and it's failure of leadership when you don't groom success. And I'm happy you're saying that. So let's go closer to Africa, because you're here, not because you're Britain, you're here, we're discussing Nigeria and its future. Things are not going too well, everybody can see that. Nigeria is the largest concentration of Black people in the world. Some statistics say that 1 out of every 4 sub-Saharan African is in Nigeria.
Is in Nigeria.
1 out of every, yeah. I mean, we're everywhere. I have a friend that went to Papua New Guinea. He saw a large contingent of Nigerian Igbo traders in Papua New Guinea. That shows that we're everywhere. Some are even saying that of the 7 continents in the world, Nigerians are the most educated migrating bloc to about 2 or 3 of them. I know in America, Nigerians are the most educated migrating bloc. So, but then things are, Nigeria is slightly behind schedule and all that. So a lot of people, especially Nigerians, let's even say Africans, blame colonialism, Britain, so to say, the country you're living in for most of our own. Do you share this thought process? Do you blame colonialism for most of the things bedeviling Nigeria?
I would say I won't blame Britain per se. I would say 50-50, and I'll tell you why. When
go ahead.
We have to start from the past where we started. Now,
for the sake of our viewers, explain what you said in Yoruba, because we have viewers in all the 7 continents.
Sometimes you have to look at the past, because the past tells us a story of why we are where we are today. It also gives us an indication of where we're likely to be in the future if we learn from what happened in the past. So from the question you asked me, if you remember, even before the amalgamation of 1914, we've always had our intertribal wars and so on, as you know. So, because the reason why I'm saying this, I know what role my great-grandfather, Fijabi the First, actually played. Ibadan, I'm from Ibadan. I know Ibadan warriors are probably the largest and the strongest in Yoruba land. After the Kiriji War, as you know, we had the opportunity to unite ourselves as Yorubas, but we didn't. So the British came, from Lagos through everywhere else while we were fighting the Fulani and so on. So they realized, so my great-grandfather then signed the Protectorate Agreement, that is 1897. Then we came under the British. And don't forget, British are foreigners, they're outsiders. And this is why I say it's very important for us to learn from the past, because we prefer to allow a foreigner, an outsider, to come and be the mediator between us, rather than we looking for the solution among ourselves. And that's how the 1914 amalgamation of the South, and the North and everything happened. And you can then trace your way back to when we got our independence and so on. Of course, what do you think the foreigners will do? They're not doing it because they like you. They're doing it because you have something they want. So whether it's British, whether it's American, whether it's Russian, whether it's any foreigner, they believe you have something. It's something for something. And this is what we need. So we can't blame everything on the British. And don't forget, even the system the British left to us, the governance system they left for us, was actually much better than when we went for unitary system of government. And where has that left us? Where has that left us down? We're in a situation where the center cannot hold anymore, and nobody is happy with the way everything is centralized. Because we look at the level of development in the West, in Yoruba land. Even, I don't know, forgive me if at least some of us who spent some of our formative years in Nigeria, we know how the education system was at primary, secondary, and tertiary level. When you go anywhere in the whole world, they may say, oh yeah, you have strong African accent, but the intellect and everything is superb. You are, you outclass most of your mates. And that's the foundation we left on with. I don't know about the education system. So therefore, you can't blame the British for everything. I'm not, it's like somebody, the fire is already burning, and they realize, okay, let me just put a little petrol or even kerosene to make sure, or wood to make sure it burns better. So
but let me just interject you a bit.
No, please do.
Let me interject you a bit. Well, yeah, why I said that is that I'm talking about the way, because I think I asked almost all my guests this because I study a lot of geography myself. Because now I always tell my guests that, look, if you use Zaria in Nigeria as a focal point, and you drew an horizontal line from Cameroon across all the way to West Africa like that.
Yeah.
In Cameroon, the cities region above that line, they are Islamic. In Cameroon, you have cities like like Garwa, where Amadou Ahijo is from, and also Fulani man. You have Garwa, Marwa. Then in Nigeria, you have all the Islamic, where place, even though they are not they're Christians in the north, but those Christian enclave in the north fall below that line. Now, if you get to Benin Republic, you have Natigungu, you have Malanville, you have Parakou, they're all Islamic enclave, they're still above that line. Same thing in Togo, you have places like Kara. Then get to Ghana, you have Tamale and the rest Islamic. Then even in Ivory Coast, people in northern Ivory Coast, they're Islamic. Even they love them are migrant from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Chad. So my point really is that maybe if the colonialists have shared us in a different way, which was why I asked when we blame it on colonialism, because maybe ideologically, we could not. That's why I asked the question. So,
and that's why I say you can't blame everything on the British. So you can't blame everything on the British. So go on. I think you want to land somewhere, or you've landed already.
Yeah. So the point really is that if those guys have been part of Mali, Chad, Niger, and because in 1960 the Western region was on its own. We had the Auda Awolowo. There was a Western region ambassador even in the UK. What you call the Southeast then was
the regional system of government. Yeah.
The regional system, and there was healthy rivalry.
And that was true federalism. That was true federalism then. But what do we have now?
So I'm thinking
unitary system.
Yeah, if those were three countries,
exactly.
Yeah, if they are okay, Northern Nigeria, be Arewa, don't you think things will be different? Should the British have joined us together? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that's what I'm saying. You have to share the blames. I'll give you a little history of where we find ourselves before the British could come in. Now, even when the British married us together, we became one country in 1960. For instance, as you rightly said, you then found that they give us a system of government that's similar to what they practice in the UK. In the UK, you have England, you have Wales, you have Northern Ireland, and you have Scotland. And they are, they have their own separate rules that guide them. Of course, when it comes to defense and other issues, that one is centralized. But we had that before the coup of 1966. We had that, didn't we? We had that. But then, and we had that was true federalism, if I understand it. It was a confederation of different nationalities, different nations coming together under one umbrella. So the center was extremely weak when we had Zeke and all the rest. It was very weak. It was ceremonial. All of a sudden, some people then put all the powers under the president. That's why I'm saying, we have to look where the problem started. And that's where the problem started, because we broke that system. The British left, or whether we like them or not, they left a system that took into account our differences, our nationalities that are different, with culture, with heritage, with so many things. Like, okay, Yorubas are different from Igbo. Igbos and people from Hausa and Fulani are different. We had that, but we destroy it. So why are we blaming them? So we destroy it ourselves. And now we know, you mentioned earlier, there's nowhere you're not going to find in Nigeria and around the world. Not just finding them, doing extremely well. Even in American, US government, in everywhere, even in UK, One of our sisters, Kemi Mbednak, he's a minister in the British government at the moment, and some of us who are also at lower level as well. So we are brilliant people, but what do we use it for? So all this blame game, I don't have time for it. But how long are we going to do this for? Blaming other people for all our own mess, for all our own mistakes, for all our own inadequacies. I think we've done that for 63 years. And when you keep on doing the same thing all over and over again, what do you get? You get the same result. Then isn't time to try something else, bro?
I agree. I agree. I agree absolutely. I mean, it is irresponsible actually for a 63-year-old man to blame anybody for his or it's
I was born just before the independence. Just before the independence, I was born. And all we are doing now, most of us, I'm sure including yourself, we are doing for the future, because we realize it can't go on like this. I believe we are not doing for ourselves. At least to some degree, we are comfortable. Not maybe not 100%, we are not multi-billionaire, but we are comfortable. Because when you have good health, food, shelter, all the basic necessities of life and above that, then you are fine. What about those coming from behind? All the Yahoo boys who think the best thing to do in life is to do Yahoo or to do ritual, money making and so on. Is that the future we want to live for the coming generation? And that's why it's the problem of all of us now. We need to wake up and do something. So that's why I'm involved in what I'm involved in. I know you're going to ask me other question later, so I'm waiting for because I don't want
ready. That's why you're here. I mean, we all agree Nigeria is behind schedule. We don't have too much time to solve so many things, and I noticed that
Nigeria is not working. Nigeria is not working, my brother. Nigeria is not working until when you have a problem,
I'm going there.
And you accept that you have problem. Half of your problem is solved. If I'm alcoholic, they accept I'm alcoholic, or
70% is solved actually. When you accept
Thank you. I just want to be modest. Thank you.
70% is solved actually. Yeah. So I noticed your level of irredentism based on the Yoruba nation. I mean, the way you talk, the language and all that. You've said it. I've read a lot of things because when I have guests, I always read what they've written. I said in the past. So do you support balkanization in Nigeria, considering, for example, that Nigeria is a Commonwealth nation and we have countries in the Commonwealth that have gone through that trajectory? I have the example of India, Malaya, and Sudan. India, very well, is the most populous country in the world today, more than China, the most populous democracy actually, quite volatile but stable, no record of coup in India. In the past, the Pakistani broke out of India, subsequently Bangladesh. That's one example. Then when we come to Malay, what you call Malaysia and Singapore today, then when we come closer home, you have Sudan, we now have South Sudan, So people tell you there are 4 big Commonwealth experience, Commonwealth experiment. Nigeria is there, Sudan that I've mentioned, Malay, and of course, India. So do you believe that balkanization, because Nigeria is not working, now we want to talk solution. Do you, in your opinion, do you think we should go back to those regional confederal structure, or everybody should just go their way? What's your take, Sonny?
Thank you, brother, for asking me that question. First of all, I want to reject the expression of balkanization. But I do understand what you mean by that. Now, we need to realize that Nigeria is an arranged marriage. And Nigeria has so many wives. When I mean wives, so many ethnic nationalities that come under the umbrella of Nigeria. And those ethnic nationalities have different values. Yoruba have our own Omoluabi values. The Igbos have their own. The Hausas, the Jaws, and everybody have their. The Fulani, they have their own. Even before the arranged forced marriage, because it was a forced marriage. But we tried for 63 years now, thinking that it's going to work. Now I ask you, if you are in that relationship that hasn't worked for 63 years, even for 10 years, because when you marry, you have a dream of so many things. And when you're on top of each other, look, in the last few days, not many people that have died I think Nazareth, in the middle belt of Nigeria. And how long have we? And also in your state last week, there was an explosion. Some people say it was accident. Some people say it was other thing. And the Fulani attack. How long are we going to do that for? We are not a match. We are not a perfect match for each other. We've tried for 63 years. It's not a question. Let's remove emotion out of it. If I want to put emotion, I can say, well, I've got a relationship. I have my first children. Part of them is Igbo, part of them is Yoruba. How are we going to do it? Because those are the settlements I get. Oh, and the same thing, a woman will say, oh, because I have children. And the woman has been battered, been abused physically, mentally by this man every day. Oh, because I can't leave my children. It got to time I have to say, no. If only if I'm alive, I can be good to my children and to the rest of the world. So therefore, I think vocalization, probably I say I don't accept that word. Peaceful separation. Look at even the Balkans you mentioned. I mean, there are so many of them that left the old Soviet Union, that they are doing very well today. Of course, you have skirmishes every now and then, but I believe all the different ethnic nationalities should come around the table. This is why it's very important. Come around the table. What future do you want for yourself and this contraption? Because it's a contraption. It's a forced marriage. Let's ask them the question, what do you want? Do you still want to stay in this contraption, in this marriage, forced marriage? Because it's a forced marriage. Even when you look at the constitution, Yorubas, Nigerians as a whole, have never been asked whether we want to stay in the marriage, in the relationship. We've never. Forgive me, somebody can enlighten me if I miss it, that in form of a referendum saying, do you really want to stay in this relationship? Even those days when they used to force people to come together and marry, I remember even my own mother, my grandfather, they will have settled the issue. All right, I have a daughter. I have a son who's ready for marriage, and the other will. And by the time they realize they already fixed it together, then they live together. They have baby until they realize actually they are not matched. What happened? Everybody go their different ways. So the same thing, in a very peaceful way, I think we need to ask that question. Are we a perfect fit? Even, you remember, even UK, a few years back, Britain gave Scotland a referendum. Even though marginally the no side won, but they're even asking for another one now. Rev 2, or what they call it, is it Rev 2? It's referendum number 2. It's on the way. They are negotiating with the British government. So why not? And Eritrea, you'll be part of what's it called? Ethiopia, isn't it? Okay. And South Sudan, you're part of Sudan. We don't want to go that road of fighting. Even another part of Ethiopia, I've forgotten what is it Tigray people? They say they want to go, and look how many lives that have been wasted. When you have a unique group of people that share the same language, the same culture, the same heritage, everything, if they say they want to go, who should stop them from going? If somebody says, I'm not happy in this relationship with a man or woman, who should stop them from leaving that relationship? For whatever reason, even under the law, even when the other person says, I don't want you to go. The person can just separate, trial separation and after 3 years or more, it's automatic, dissolution, isn't it? I mean, those who practice law in matrimonial law and so on. Talk less of a nation of people, men, women, young, old. No. I think it is an insult to call those who are saying, let my people go, Balkanizers, Balkanizers, and because they give them all sorts of names, marriage breaker. I've heard a lot of that. No, maybe I can understand. I can understand why. Because emotion. Because we've been together for so long. Is that a good reason to stay together in an abusive relationship? No, we need to ask ourselves. As far as I know, as a Yoruba man, without prejudice, I think it's time for Yoruba people to go. And I'm 100% in favor of that. We can be neighbors, good neighbors, working together, free movement for employment, for all these things. If I come to your house, we are talking now. Let me, okay, Sonny, stay 2 days, stay 3 days, 4 days. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stay there forever. Even when I'm going to say that,
the ECOWAS Charter, in all fairness to your argument, the ECOWAS Charter actually encourages that anyway. Free mobility and free trade. But back to balkanization. The definition here is balkanization is a division or fragmentation of larger sovereign country or region into smaller, often ethnically similar and countries or region. This was coined in the 19th century. The term comes from the breakup of the Balkan Peninsula, then ruled by the Ottoman Empire. So it's not particularly a negative, you understand? It's just a definition of
course, I do understand that. You see, you don't forget, everything we say is also relative as well. We want to make sure people listening, people hearing it. It depends on our level of world affairs, or therefore we need to use a language people understand, because that's why, especially as a politician, I don't just go in Yoruba I say Entuba Soyinbo Nile and Oluma Tume. The person who blow big English in his in-laws' house, they don't understand,
Especially when
you are the one that you end up interpreting. Exactly.
Or I won't go home with your wife,
Exactly. You see, like I'm saying now, I know the wider audience don't understand Yoruba. So I said in Yoruba, but I try to also interpret so that both sides can understand. And the same thing when we talk about, international law and so on. Sometimes people don't participate because they don't. Even when we do consultations, sometimes with the people, if we use a language that you have to have PhD before you can understand it, then we already left a lot of people behind. And those are the things I actually learn in politics as well in the UK. That and that's why glory be to God that people who are represented from the grassroots. I try to understand. Because the area I represent, for instance, many years ago, it's not an area I would like to live. But now it's like my little Lagos. When they see me, we rejoice together. And that's the point I'm trying to make. That there are so many ways we can do things, that brings everybody around the table and nobody feels left behind. But that doesn't mean what belongs to me is not mine. If I'm happy to share, that doesn't make it yours. That's the difference.
True. Okay, we're going to go into solutions proper now. You know how to reach these things you're talking about and all that. I understand where you're coming from. But now, the question now before I go into solution, you are Yoruba clearly. In Nigeria, the tripod is Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo, And in 66, 67, the way Nigeria for the Civil War, from 1967 to 1970. And I mean, the Igbos have never hidden it that they need to go. A lot of us, including me, feel that Igbos will make a fantastic nation on their own because of so many factors. I mean, the entrepreneurship, industriousness, what have you.
Absolutely,
and, the rest is history. I've told people in the past that if, for example, the Biafra had succeeded, this of course my personal opinion, there will have been a Biafra Airways. Now, probably rival Ethiopia Airways will be better. The One Port and the Calabar Port, for example, will have a major sea hub in that area. The cement deposit in Calago and Co will have, so many other factors that we can go. The coal in Enugu will have powered. So what I'm going really is that, Yoruba, it is clear from the Nigerian history that Yorubas have helped, to hold Nigeria together. Which is a fact. You can't deny, every effort at breakaway, at not just one or two instances. Yorubas have helped to hold it together. You understand? Now, we know Yoruba is at least 40 million people. We have Yorubas in Benin Republic. There's no
we
doubt
are more than that. We are more than that.
Yeah.
We are more than, we are about 45 to 65 million.
Yeah, I mean,
in Nigeria.
Yeah, but we have countries that are 50,000, 200,000 and all that. So my point really is that historically, I don't want to use any tough language, but historically, Yorubas have been seen to be the peacemakers. They've been the ones that have stopped Nigeria from actually going in that trajectory you are suggesting. Now you're saying that, okay, now we want to have our own nation. The Igbos have always propagated that gospel. So, I mean, it's that fair? Because when the Igbos wanted it, I mean, I can't deny it as it is a fact that if the Yorubas have not stood by whatever the Connaught or anybody else Middlewell wanted to do, the Igbos will have gone peacefully, So now we want it. Well, I mean, you want it.
I think it's not only Yoruba that want it, because this is why I try to observe, monitor what is going on.
What I'm saying, please, with all due respect, what I'm saying, I'm not disputing that Yorubas want it. I'm saying that in the past, when the Igbos wanted it, do you understand? One of the major reasons they did not get it was because the Yoruba supported a united country. Country.
I do understand. I was going to do that. I was going to around that. Yes, I'm not denying that it is true. I mean, Papa Awolowo and all the rest. The reason why they didn't want us to break away, because yes, if you have, I mean, our diversity, they thought should be our strength. And I totally agree. It's just like people coming together to marry, because when you marry together, that's why I would like to use that analogy. Because when the woman and the man, they leave your family and come together, you become two. And then when you then multiply, you become a big family of your own. Now you can do a lot of things, which helps. The same principle applies to when our elders, with their wisdom, say, okay, let's stay together. And let's see how it's going to work. And I believe even the British government encouraged us to do that, supported us, and with a system that could have made it worse. It will work for us as a united nation of different nations, because we are at least about 200 nations under Nigeria, or nationalities. But it hasn't worked.
At least 250.
However, well, at least, okay, 250, brother, thank you. But it hasn't worked. And this is why it was an experiment. For the experiment started in 1914, 100 years in 2014, and plus another, 13 years now on top, or is it? No, well, maybe my arithmetic is very poor, So that's about 10 years, isn't it? Extra on top, because we are now in 2024. So 10 years gap, 10 years since even if you call it 100-year treaty, another 10 years on top. When are we going to realize that it's not working, and probably will never work? So if we then reach that conclusion that it will never work, then what should we do? I remember even Jonathan, the former president, Ebele Jonathan, actually commissioned a piece of work, for people to, explore what other kind of system that can make things work. And look at the constitution we have. We had the federalist kind of system, constitution before that respect our individual nations, our culture, our heritage, and the form of government I want to have at regional level. When we have the Yoruba region, we have the Midwest and so on. So did it work? No, they dismantled it. The constitution we have now, some people call it a fraudulent constitution. I probably agree with them, because our people never voted for it. There was no, 1999 constitution. Yeah, 1999 constitution. Our people never voted for it. Some people don't even know what is in it. They just realize what we are doing is not working. So therefore, my dear brother, I think, yes, for me, Yoruba nation is the future. I'm sorry to say, with heavy heart, I'm saying that. I've been around. I was part of Nigerian Diaspora Organization. which started in 2000, set up by former President Obasanjo to bring the diasporas together so that we can contribute to national development and so on. Some people went home, like the governor of Ekiti State, Fayemi, even the president himself, when he was in exile. We used to attend the campaign for democracy and so on in the UK when the military juntas were there. It hasn't worked. So why are we waiting? We want to waste another decade or two?
Councillor Lambert.
Yes, sir.
The president of Nigeria today is a Yoruba man.
Yes,
he was part of NADECO. Yeah, he was part of NADECO.
Yeah. I know.
He has a track record. I mean, I've read interviews that granted speaking the way you are speaking in the past, even before he became governor.
Yes, and there are documents.
NADECO days. Yeah, speaking pro sovereign national conference and all that, you know. So are you saying that if Bola Tinubu convokes, let's say, a sovereign national conference, and we go back to that pre-independent structure, you still will stick to this line of thought?
My dear brother, it is true that's why I mentioned that when he was in exile in the UK, that campaign for democratic movement, and so that we used to attend together, including some of who are present governors in Nigeria. Oh, don't forget, with due respect to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he was campaigning for Amilokan under Nigeria umbrella. And it's not that even...
What does Amilokan mean for the purpose of English?
It's my turn. It's my turn.
Okay.
It's my turn to rule Nigeria.
No, but what if he was saying Amilokan, which is a turn of the Yorubas?
I didn't hear him saying that. But of course, if you say that, actually he's saying because there has not been a Yoruba president. When you go, of course, when I say democratically elected, you can see that, of course, President Obasanjo, I mentioned before, was ex-military. And of course, you can say that, let me rephrase that, not that it has never been, Obasanjo was a president, Yoruba man. However, when you go back, since independence, apart from Obasanjo, who was also a military guy, who was in prison and so on, the best president we never had was Papa of Bafemi Awolowo. Look at the developments. Now tell me, look around you in the Western, even look around the country, especially Yoruba land. What are the evidence of developments that you can be proud of? Because the constitution we have at the moment doesn't even allow you to take the bulls by the horn and say, yes, we as Yoruba people want to do this. This is what is the best interest of our own people. Because we were talking about education, we were talking free education, I was talking about free health and so on, all the development we had in the western part of Nigeria, Yoruba land was under power of Bafemi Awolowo. Even it benefited other nations, other regions like the East, or even the North as well. So, of course, if we go on our own way, we neighbors, we'll be able to, we allow them to come and visit, we visit them as well, we become, neighbor nations, but independent nations. Because when you are on your own, you are independent, you can decide when to go out, when to come in, who you want to let in. We're talking about crime, for instance, security or insecurity in Nigeria. Look, you have to get orders from Abuja before anything can be done. Is that a country you want to live? Whereas, even in Wales, they have, regional police that look after security issues in their own part of UK, for instance. But we passed that stage. I'm sorry to say, I keep on coming back to this. We've tried everything for the past 63 years, hasn't worked. Even you mentioned what Ebele did, the conference they had, the report is there, was never implemented. How long are we going to pretend that we are one? We are not one. The marriage is not working.
Yeah.
The marriage is not working, my brother.
Well, I'm saying that even with the Yoruba president that has been pro constitutional conference and all that, you still don't believe there is hope.
My dear brother, we passed that
it's
now.
a yes or no.
No, I
Past
think
that.
it's actually very difficult to say yes or no. I would say it's very extremely difficult for him, even if he wants to do it. The way Nigeria is constituted at the moment, it would be difficult for any president. Why do you think Ebele couldn't do anything? President Ebele Jonathan couldn't do anything. I'm sure deep down he wanted to change, the status quo, but couldn't. And that tells you the problem we face in Nigeria. And the only solution, I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong, but from my own assessment of the situation, having evaluated the whole situation for decades now, I was part of NATO because I wanted one Nigeria. But in the past 4 years, my position now is Yoruba nation, independent, sovereign Yoruba nation for my people, Yoruba people. And that's why I'm interested now. I'm sorry. No,
I respect your position. I mean, everybody's entitled to it. Now, you said something about Bafemi Awolowo education. There's no doubt about it. Awolowo put the Yorubas at the front burner of the education. I remember when they built UI, there was healthy rivalry. The Southeastern government premier then built Usuka. The Northerners built Amadu Bello.
Yeah.
I think before there was a television station. So
we were the first. The first television station, even before France. We had television
Belgium, actually.
France, exactly. Belgium, exactly. Yeah. So so we have been held back, been under Nigeria, and that's the same thing. Because I've had this. Even let's look at domestic life. Sometimes I've had some family that say, since we were married together, you've been pulling me down out of jealousy, out of this. You may think is is something that is similar to what is happening at national level. Because if you can't understand what happens in families, in communities, how can you make law that serve their interests? So we've been held down.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. You have all this opinion and all that, but I mean, I think it's whatever is bedeviling Nigeria now, maladministration, corruption, and all that. You cannot exonerate Yoruba politicians from it. In a lot of even the ACN, what was ADACN, and all that. There are a lot of states in the southwest they were tarring a kilometer of road for 1 billion, and they get loans, and this road and all that. So you can't really. It's not peculiar to everybody. It's at fault for that. Now, my issue now is this. You said something about law, right? Education. A lot of our professors today, especially in their 70s, well, I was a beneficiary of it. You're a beneficiary of it. Don't you find it ironic that today, even the president, he had issues regarding certificate and all that would not be proven, I mean, don't you find it ironic that a Yoruba man, with all that, Awolowoism and all that, was bedeviled in that, Don't you think it's a bit of ironical posturing, considering that even our professors were trying to defend it? What's your take on that, your personal opinion?
I mean, apart from what everybody, including myself, read in the papers and what was released from, from the U.S. court, of course, it's sad that our own president, should be dragged into that kind of mode. And this is, it's rather unfortunate. I mean, I mentioned earlier, No, I understand that. But the thing is that it's not just about Yoruba we should look at, because things are falling apart terribly. And the center can't hold. It's the system we have now. So even if we become independent Yoruba nation tomorrow, there are a lot of things we need to reconstruct. But the thing is that we start building new foundation because the foundation of Nigeria was built on lies. And that is why that can happen without impunity. I mean, even if you look at health, for instance, you find that our well-to-do, including the president, have to go to France, come to UK, for medical treatment. When most of the people that are probably going to treat them are from Nigeria, probably Yoruba people. Isn't that insane? So there are a lot of things. This one, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, heavy heart. I don't think, with a very, very heavy heart, I don't think Nigeria is redeemable. And these are part of the evidence, which you shared with me just now, because it's so battered. It's just like any relationship, marriage. Things are falling so disastrously apart.
Let me interject you once again. Yeah, I like your line of thought. I like your thought process. If you follow Atlantic Discourse, I'm sure if you haven't in the past, you will be following now,
okay.
Especially on YouTube. Yeah, I've said it, and I've said it repeatedly, that Nigeria is battered almost beyond repairs. That's what I say. So it's not that you are saying, we say it here. Nigeria is battered, not beyond, almost beyond repair. Now, my thought process for you, here, that's why it's a discourse. We also have an opinion. I don't think there should be an Oduduwa Republic. We don't really, at editorial level, we don't think that. We think that there's enough strength in diversity. And that's why I always look at India. India is 1.2 billion people. India is multi-ethnic. Nigeria is multi-ethnic. India is multi-religious. Nigeria is multi-religious. The Indian diversity is overwhelming, I mean, they killed Indira Gandhi as prime minister, was assassinated. In any African country, any sub-Saharan African country, there will have been a coup d'etat. In India, there was not. The son Rajiv Gandhi took over, succeeded the mother. Even he was assassinated. There's no record of coup in India. The Indian constitution holds sway. We've had transition from the ruling party to the opposition subsequently. So what I'm trying to say is that the strength India has is a nuclear power state, IT savvy, military strong, and all that. Today, India is more populous than China. Now they have a purpose concept. So I believe, and we are editorial, we've discussed it, that look, if we go confederal like we did before independence, there's a lot of strength in diversity. Because even this Yoruba tribe you are talking about, I mean, I don't
we're
know.
Not tribe. We're not tribe. We're ethnic group. We're ethnic group.
Ethnic group. Okay, the Yoruba ethnic stock you're talking about. About half of the Yoruba group are Muslims, another half Christian. I don't know how to apportion the percentage. You understand? And I don't know. In the past, I used to feel that used to be a source of strength because some are Muslims, but it does look like those that are of the Islamic stock are who the Northerners used to infiltrate and divide and all that. So even having that may not even be a solution. So consistently, Nigeria is bedeviled with the law of inequality. You have said it, and I agree that we do not have a people's constitution. We've never discussed. Professor Odinkalu was my guest about 2 weeks ago. He said that it's not just, he doesn't think even the constitution is the solution. He said we need to have a political agreement. That if we have that, we've never had a political agreement, which is what you also said, but you didn't use those words. If we have a political agreement to stay together, under what auspices, under what guise, you understand? So, like I said, I don't really think I agree with that everybody, you understand? But having said that, Nigeria is not working. It's clearly,
if I could quickly, you don't mind if I quickly respond?
Please.
Okay,
please
if I could respond to, okay, first of all, you mentioned India, for instance.
Yes.
If my memory serves me right, I believe Pakistan will be part of India.
Yes.
I think Bangladesh, and now even Kashmir is looking for a way, because we have the India part of Kashmir and then the Pakistan part. They want to form their own nation. Now the point is, if people don't want to live together, you cannot force them. You can try, and we've tried for 63 years. It hasn't worked. What makes you think just changing some papers, shoving them around, with a new heading, and in form of a constitution is going to work? We're just fooling ourselves. If a marriage are coming back to you are in a relationship, you are on top of each other all the time, then you need to sit down around the table and say, if this is not working. And when the children are involved, I use that example, it's not working between me and you. However, what do we do about these children? What do we do about the stakeholders? That's where we need to do now, because that's what we need to do now, because Nigeria has never worked. And it hasn't worked for 63 years. Are you going to tell me the next 3 years of President Tinubu, because the Yoruba man is going to make it better? If it didn't work under Buhari, who's a northerner, it didn't work under Ebele Jonathan, what didn't work under Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo? I mean, we need to stop fooling ourselves. Ask our people, are you happy in this? How are the couples? And when I use the word couples, how the wives because Nigeria is a polygamous. Nigeria is the husband we all have, right? If I use that expression. So with me, I have so many wives, I have so many nationalities underneath it, isn't it? But they are not happy. Then ask them, do they still want to stay under this marriage? Or they want to go? Because if we don't do that, very soon, I hope I'm wrong, some people will say, no, I'll pack my load and go to my papa place. Or I just go, even I can't go to my papa place because they see it as a shame. I will go and rent somewhere and stay there, separation, because I believe at least I will have peace of mind. I can plan for my life, for my future. It's happening.
So you don't think it's failure of leadership?
Well, you can, I think very simplistic when we want to blame everything on the leadership. And I'll tell you why. Of course, leadership is an element. Take, for instance, my leadership, disposition is probably as good as the powers I have. When I'm going for a job, these are your job decision and person spec, and I look at everything, okay, I match it. And then when I then get that job, looking at what they actually want to achieve, the vision, mission and objectives and so on. And then, okay, how do I use my leadership to make us realize that? What are the resource implications? How do I put all the resources, whether it's ministers, whether it's this, whether it's that? You get what I'm saying? Well, I'm sorry. Nigeria is a visionless country. It saddens me to say that. Despite all the, massive, qualified, educated, experienced people we have in that country. And 63 years is enough. It's enough to know that our relationship, our one Nigeria is not working. Don't call me a marriage breaker. Don't call me a balkanizer. But I'm just saying the facts, stating the fact. And we don't use those evidence to plot the future together. I think our future probably going to be worse than the skirmishes we saw. If you remember when the old Soviet Union broke up the Balkans and so on, they still have a little problem in Serbia and in Kosovo and so on. Imagine if the whole of that eastern region broke into what could have happened. Even look at what we learned from that little one. And it's still not even 100% resolved at the moment. It's still ongoing. So why not sit around?
We don't have too much. Yeah, I agree. We don't have too much time. I know. Yeah. I mean, the solutions we see or profile is a bit different. But then, let me ask you this final question. And when you answer this, you can also make your final statement. Now, what is the role? You mentioned something about NIDO, Nigerian Diaspora Organization, created by President Obasanjo. Now, you're also a diaspora, you're a counselor in the UK, doing very good stuff. Now, what is the role of the Nigerian diaspora in all this, in the ensuing melee? Then you can make your final statement before we leave today.
In terms of the role of, even when you look around, you find some diasporans, like the governor of Ekiti State and so many others, even at the time, even president, the current president, Tinubu, was a diasporan, So there are so many diasporans contributing in every way they can. Despite all the challenges they are facing, that they are also diasporan. Because he or she is a diasporan doesn't mean he or she is better than those who've never left the shores of Nigeria. And this is what from my own observation, we all have something to contribute. We all have something to contribute to our own different nations. Because I'll use the word nation. David don't want to use, even at the present Nigeria, how to make the future nations. Because we are having this dialogue, we can contribute. For example, the UK, I've learned a lot in the UK. There are so many other people from America, from other parts, Europe and other parts of the world, this conversation we are talking about, we all can participate in that conversation and come up with a solution that will work for everyone. But the bottom line is, one Nigeria hasn't worked for 63 years. I would be fool to think we can wait another 10 years, 63 years to make it work. We are just deceiving ourselves. So if you deceive me, the worst thing for me to deceive myself. And we'll be deceiving ourselves, we think we can make it work.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Councillor Sonny Lambert, distinguished Nigeria, patriotic. I like that. You are speaking truth to power. That's the way we like it. You're speaking your heart. We all agree Nigeria is not working. There's nothing to be diplomatic about. Nigeria is a shock to the system, a major embarrassment. I mean, it was a beacon of the black world at independence. And I remember a lot of Asian tigers today were even below Nigeria in so many, ramifications. And today, there's nothing to be happy about economically, politically. The ship of states is actually near rudderless, if not rudderless. And Sonny Lambert has gone for the jugular. He wants the all ethnic nations to be independent. He is of the Yoruba stock. He believes that the Yorubas should have their own country. The Igbos should allow their country. That the marriage is not working. He actually even called it a polygamy that is inconsistent with the basic tenets of polygamy itself. There's no equity, there's no justice, there's no fair play. In that vein, what is the basis of the relationship? Ab initio. Yes, he said pre-independence will work because there was the constitutional framework then suit the billing, help us develop. There was healthy rivalry and all that. But I haven't seen that. Now we're bedeviled with a situation that in his own opinion, near irreparable. I think is close to that. And we've done episodes in the past, collapse state, weak state, failed state. I think the state is weak and I think it's collapsing. And I mean, what is next after weak collapsing, So we just have to find a way around it. Sonny Lambert, thank you very much for coming to Atlanta to discuss. You're speaking very well. And you will be back, no doubt, I'm sure. You are entitled to what you said. I'm sure a lot of Yorubas will agree with you. And according to, even though there's a Yoruba president, you're not taking prisoners. You want your people, your ethnics to have their nation. The solution is not whether our local or our local. That's not it. Yeah,
I'm not advocating any violence change or anything. I'm just saying let's have a dialogue. That's where I stand. So it's just like marriage. Let's sit down around the table. Let's discuss it. Is our marriage working? Is it not? Then what can we do? If we try everything else, it hasn't worked for 63 years. Let's sit down around the table. Let's call the stakeholders. Let's sit around the table and have a family conversation. And then we can live happily.
I agree with you. Nobody's propagating violence. It doesn't work well for everybody.
Just have to make it clear.
Yeah. There's the East Timorian example, the Eritrean example is
absolutely,
there. Let the people decide. Vox Populi, Vox Dei. So we're going to call it a wrap there. Sonny Lambert has been our guest, a fantastic one for that matter. Sonny, thank you for coming. 7 billion people, 7 continents of the world, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, Africa, Europe, North America, South America. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your loyalty. See you next week with another very interesting and reverberating topic. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.